Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping back by the channel. If you're new, please consider subscribing and leave me a comment to let me know what you think about this topic. So, it's been a couple weeks since I've made a video. Just to let you guys know, going forward, I am going to be taking a little hiatus. I do have a lot of stuff going on right now, so I need to do that. I did want to come on and make this one video because I had planned on doing it, and also I told a person that one of the commenters that I was going to address something at the beginning of this video that they had said in the comments, so I wanted to make sure I stuck to my word even though I'm a little late. Blind faith. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because I did make my point last time, but I had a few other things that I wanted to discuss. But before I get into those things, I wanted to talk about this particular comment that I got on the video. I think it was the one about why does God test people? Okay. So this is the thing that somebody in the comments said. He told me that what he thought about me is that I see what might appear to be a discrepancy in a biblical account as leverage for my conscience to allow me to pursue or practice other arts. Now, we're not going to get into what he meant by the other arts. Let me move this. It looks like a glow or something. What he meant by the other arts, okay? Because I don't even know what he means. I think he misunderstood something I said one time, and I think he might think I'm doing like some witchcraft or some voodoo or something. But rest assured, I'm not doing anything like that, okay? But yeah, so we're just going to talk about the other part. Me using my the discrepancies that I see in the Bible as leverage for my conscience to make me feel like it's okay, to dispute these things, or to not believe them, or to have so much skepticism with God, as he put it. That is the furthest thing from the truth. The discrepancies and the, contradictions that I point out on these videos, I didn't even notice them until I did my research about the Bible. I did not notice them. Think about being a witness. Now, this commenter used to be a witness based on some of the comments that I've seen. I don't know how, if he was raised in it. I don't remember what he said about that. But think about how you were as a witness before you woke up and realized that it wasn't the truth. When you were in it, did you see that? Did you see those things? Probably not. Most of us didn't see it when we were in it. It was like the picture within the frame. You can't see yourself. You can't see it when you're in it a lot of times. We would just defend it as if it were truth, right? And have all the scriptures to back it up, or so we thought. So that's the same mentality that I had, because even though I left the organization 20 years ago, I still believed the Bible firmly for years and years, right? So I was the type of person that would defend the Bible. The stuff I talk about blind faith and defending God and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that to put people down for doing that kind of stuff. I'm talking about it because it's what I know. Because that's how I was. I would defend God. I would defend the Bible. I would be one of those ones making, telling some reasons about why some of those people back in Israelite days got killed. Because they were, idolaters, or because they were talking about God's prophets. Like the stuff that you guys say to me in the comments is the same stuff I would have been saying to people, because I believed it 150%. I really want you to hear me on that. I really want you to hear me on that. I believed it, and I could not see the discrepancies. I seen things, of course, but I was able to sweep them under the rug, or just kind of, make sense of it somehow. Or the things I couldn't make sense of, I would just say, well, we just don't understand God. One day he's going to reveal these things to us. The same thing most people do. That's what I did. But what changed for me was when I did my research. Okay? Research. If you haven't done it, you really can't say anything about what I'm talking about. You cannot even respond. You cannot dispute, because you don't know what I'm talking about. You haven't done your own research, probably, or else you wouldn't be defending it so much. Now, let me also say this, you guys. I don't have a problem with anybody who wants to believe in the Bible. If that's what you want to do, and if it makes you a better person and it makes you sleep well at night, fine. I'm not trying to take your belief away from you or make you feel bad about your beliefs, okay? That's not my intent. My intent is just to, nudge you a little bit. If you're asleep still, which a lot of people in this world are, to a lot of different things, not just this, I'm just trying to nudge you a little bit and say, hey, rouse you up and say, why don't you research this thing that you believe so strongly? Okay? Because the fact is that I would say that you would not be able, I could almost say I could offer you some money, $1 million if I had it, to find me a person who got to adulthood and never heard of this concept of the Bible being God's word. Never heard of it. Somehow, lived in a bubble their whole entire life. And picked up the Bible on their own, not anybody telling them it was God's word, not any ministers coming to them, not their parents teaching them, not their grandparents, nothing like that. Okay. They just was in a hotel, because they always got Bibles in hotels, and they picked up a Bible, right? And they read it and they said, wow, this is God's word. Tell me a person that has happened for. Has it happened to you? Do you know anybody that something like that has happened to? I'm pretty sure the answer would be no. If you ask people, where did this concept come from for you? How did you start to believe in the Bible? Pretty much anybody you talk to, including yourself, is going to have to admit, yeah, I was taught this. I was told this. This was put in my ear. This was put in my consciousness. But you did not come to this conclusion because of the content of the book or the collection of books, really, because that's what it is. It's a collection of books. It's not just one book that fell out the sky inspired by God. That's not how it happened. I researched things about where the Bible came from. I researched things about the characters in the Bible, those that you think are historical, and you will quickly find that history does not support their existence. Okay? The major characters in the Bible. I'm not even going to say who. Look it up. The events in the Bible that you think are true. That doesn't mean that some of these things that happened weren't historical with some of these kings and stuff like that. But does that make the whole Bible true just because people who was writing this back in the day knew that certain kings fell and certain things happened? No, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Bible is God's word just because they was able to record certain things. You see what I mean? You wouldn't even be believing the account itself if you did it first. Believe that the Bible was true. Believe that this is God's word. You wouldn't need to verify that history matches up with the Bible unless you believed that the Bible was God's word, right? So it's the belief in the Bible that really is the blind faith that I'm talking about. The writer that supposedly had written Genesis was Moses, right? Why doesn't the Bible start off by saying something to the effect of, I, Moses, was inspired by God to write the following? The reason why scholars and historians even think Moses wrote the Bible or wrote the first 5 books is because he was the one told to write down the law. That's the first big time when somebody is told to write something down, which is Moses. Way, a long time after this whole beginning story, after the flood, after all of this stuff, supposedly Moses was told to write down the law for the benefit of the Israelites. A lot of people don't believe Moses even wrote these books, but that's a whole nother story. But it's just interesting. It's just interesting. Like as if nobody else could have written, in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth, and start giving us this foundation for this whole creation and this whole story that we're reading about, that somebody couldn't have done that without being inspired by God. And why wouldn't God, if he really wanted to write this book for us, or these books for us, and put them all together, right? Instead of trying to communicate with us in a different way through our spirit, or, speak to us in our heart or in our mind or something. If he really just needed to give it to us in a book, it would seem like he would have been more clear at the very beginning to let us know that this is where it came from. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to throw shade at the Bible, you guys, because actually I really appreciate the Bible. And I know that there's a lot of truth in the Bible. There really is. And I'm still searching for a lot of that truth, but it's just not what we have been conditioned to believe. And I'm only saying that because of all the years of the research that I've done. I'm not saying that because I want the Bible not to be true. Why would I want the place where I could go to for all my answers, that gives me all the information on why we're here, what God's purpose is, what the hope for the future is, how to understand all these, these prophecies, these things to come, how to get salvation. If all of that is what's in the Bible, why would I want to not believe that stuff? Why would I want it not to be true? It wouldn't make any sense if you really come at it from that perspective. So it has to be something else. It has to be another reason why people are starting to see, wait a minute, something is off here. Maybe we've been believing something that wasn't completely 100% true. Believing that was God's word was a concept that was instilled in you. You were born or indoctrinated into a system like the Matrix. We have been indoctrinated into many systems. If you never, reconsider the things that you were taught, then you might end up being in a place where you don't know what you're talking about, but you think you do. You get people like myself and others who are telling you some of this stuff. Don't be so quick to just dispute what we say, due to emotion. All you have is an emotional attachment to this belief. It's an emotional attachment to this belief that the Bible is God's word. If you haven't done your research about this stuff, then you really can't continue to say the things that you say, at least, and be taken seriously, because you can't back it up. Do your research, because once you prove it to yourself, right, at least you know that you are making an informed decision about it. Okay? That you are making that decision is based on your research that has still led you back around to the belief that you were originally indoctrinated with. And if you come back around to believe in the Bible, you see everything that everybody has said, and you still believe it, you still have faith. Okay, fine. That is your right. Nobody is trying to make you do anything different than what than what's best for you. That's basically where I'm coming from. Recently, I watched The Truman Show. I don't know how many of you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, I'm probably going to be giving it away. I apologize about that. But I just thought about this movie and how it relates to my situation. And any of you out there who has, started to wake up from this whole indoctrination of the Bible and religion and all that stuff. Because, The Truman Show, his life was on stage in this movie, like from the time he was a baby all the way till he was an adult. He didn't know that he was on a set. It was a little town that was just surrounded by the water. The only way to get off this town or this island or whatever you would consider it would be to just sail off in the water. But apparently he got a fear of water from a very early age because his dad had died out on the boat or whatever. But this is some things I found interesting. At the beginning of the movie, he was about to go to work, and all of a sudden this camera fell from the sky, right? And it was a clear sky, no clouds, no trees up above, nowhere for this camera to have fallen. You could see that he was just confused. Like, where did this come from? He's looking up in the sky. He, doesn't know where it came from. But he doesn't make a big deal about it. Then there was another scene where he was on a beach and it was raining, and it was only raining on him. And he kept moving and the rain would move with him. And then eventually it started raining in the whole thing. But he didn't take anything too serious about this. It was just a weird thing. But then at a certain point, you see him reflecting on this lady that he had known, some time ago. So now this particular lady was a lady that liked him, that was trying to tell him that his world was fake, that everything was just, basically they're watching you all the time. This is not a real environment. And I'm sure that was a seed that was planted, but obviously he didn't take it too seriously, because like I said, he was reflecting on this later in the, almost like in the middle of the movie or a little bit before that. But you see at the beginning, when these weird things happened, he just kind of, blew him off. Like, he didn't see that as proof of what this lady had said to him. Okay. He was still just going about his daily life. But then he ended up running into his dad, which is the guy who supposedly had died, in the water. So now it kind of was a weird emotional thing that kind of, probably shook him up to where he started paying more attention to his environment. He started seeing that, yes, a lot of this stuff didn't add up. It was weird. And he started doing his little investigating to the point where he realized, definitely something is wrong here. And he decided to try to leave. He got on the water, and I'm sure he didn't know it was a set, at that point, but he just wanted to leave the town. Gets on the water, gets all the way, close to where he was about to be able to exit the set, but they start trying to stop him, starting storms, all of this stuff. And then he gets to the end of it. Basically, it's just like a big giant screen, like background of just like clouds or something. And he finds the staircase and he starts walking up the stairs. The guy who's the, producer starts talking to him from the moon. It makes it sound like God or something, because he's like, his office is in the moon. And he's trying to convince him to stay, telling him, don't go over there. It's just, fear, you stay here. This is everything that you know. Everybody loves you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that really reminds me, you guys, of what we have going on in so many ways, not just with the Bible, but I'm just focusing on the Bible, but in so many ways. It's like we're on a set. We have been placed in a situation that is fake on so many levels. And we're like now trying to wake up and break through some of this stuff, all of these lies that we've been told when it comes to education, the government, religion, the Bible, all of this stuff. And we're going to get roadblocks. We're going to hit roadblocks. We're going to get people trying to tell us, no, stay over here. The Bible is true. Stay over here. Come back to the religion, right? That's what we're going to hear. Just like when they was trying to cause these storms for him. They're going to try to scare us not to go up those stairs like he did. Telling them there's nothing over there except fear. You know everything that's over here. Which is true. We know all the answers over here, but does that mean those answers are true? And what do we want? What do we want? Do we want to feel good, emotionally and feel comfortable? Or do we want to know what's true? Okay. So when he walked up to the top of those stairs, the thing that I thought was very fitting was it was just blackness through the door that he was going to walk through. Everything on the set was bright. It's clouds, it was the sunny day on the set, but it was just black through that door. He couldn't see anything. And to me, that represents not knowing. When you go through the door, you don't know what you're going to find. You don't know. And that's scary. And I've been there. These things that I'm talking about now are not new to me. I'm just reflecting on a lot of stuff, but I'm really past all of this stuff that I'm talking about now. But let me just say this, even though it's dark, when you first walk through that door and it's scary and you don't know the answers, it will start to get brighter. And that's the beauty of it. I'm encouraging you guys to do your research. It's for your own sake. And if you come back around and you have faith in these things, you did it, willingly and knowingly, knowing what you actually believe and why, not because it was just given to you. So that's all I have to say about this. But since I'm taking a little hiatus, I wanted to just, make sure I got this information out. And yeah, until next time, I don't know exactly how long I'm going to be, a month or two, something like that. But again, like I said, I have a few recorded videos that I'm just going to release periodically and go from there. See you soon.